Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the fourth episode of Dram That's Good Scotch Review. Crazy to think I even bothered to do this for 4 episodes, but I'm having fun and people seem to be enjoying the reviews, so I'm going to keep doing it. Obviously, I'm going to keep on getting better, like we've said, at the recording quality. As of right now, my studio is, well, not much of a studio. My studio is the kitchen, though you can't really tell by looking at that. And I've got a nice curtain here as a backdrop. It looks really classy. And the audio quality is just downright incredible. I know you guys are blown away. But I'm not here to brag about my luxurious setup. I'm here to talk about Scotch, and one that I'm really looking forward to trying because actually it's one of the rare ones I haven't had yet. This is, now, I wish I was doing this live because I want to hear everyone try and say this. I'll admit the first time I went to one of the tastings for these guys, I got it wrong too. It's a tough one. But it's not Kilchoman, it's Kilchoman. And these guys make amazing stuff. I was actually present at one of their releases at Binny's, had to be at least 8-9 years ago now, where they did the release of the, what did they do? The 2009 100% Isla release, and it was just unbelievably good. These guys are a small operation. They don't do a lot of work. They don't do a lot of different bottles. And they don't produce a ton, but the quality is just off the charts. I love that they're a small farm distillery doing it old school, and they're doing it right. This bottle was a donation from Old Man River, so thanks, Dad. Really appreciate it. Sucks that I have to return it. But it's really damn good, and I don't blame him for wanting it back. This one is the Winter 2010 release. It's one of the few vintage of theirs that I haven't gotten to try yet. And I'm just so looking forward to this. For a price point note, the initial price release for this was, I've seen anywhere from as low as 80 to as high as 95. Price fluctuates a lot based on where you live, and I'm not just talking about in the United States. I mean, anywhere in the country that you, or anywhere on the planet that you live, it's going to be a slightly different price here and there. But it sounds like the average when this was released, average price per bottle was somewhere in the range of $85 to $90. And if you're drinking this, just once a week, that's going to get you some pretty solid mileage. But I don't know what to expect at this one yet. I know that classic Isla flavors are usually going to be peated, a little smoky. You get a little bit of that iodine that everyone complains about, but trust me, it's fantastic. It's totally worth getting used to. But I am just so damn excited to dig into this. So without further ado, let's give that guy open, bust out our brand new tasting glass. It's not actually a tasting glass, just a brand new glass. And give this guy the first whiff. That is downright incredible. The bottle is over halfway empty, you can see already. This is the state I received it in. And the smell is just, it's fantastic, not because, like in previous episodes where I was like, make a candle out of that. Don't make a candle out of this. It's a bit more subtle. It's not as aggressive up front. It's not trying to blow you away with the nose, which is funny because a lot of people, they hear peated stuff and they hear about smoky stuff and they're like, oh, it smells like the house is on fire. This one's not that bad. This one's a little more reserved, a little more dialed back, and just really generally pleasant to sniff on. But it's not so strong that you're going to feel like when you open this bottle that you need to turn off your smoke detectors. But let's see how it looks in the glass. Nice, healthy, generous pour. A couple of bubbles there. You don't see that very often. So the bottle itself brags about saying that it has a white wine color. Now, I've consumed a lot of white wine in my day as well. That's close. It's more like a white grape juice color than a white wine color. These things are very mildly different. But it does have one of the lightest colors I think I've ever seen. And that's really, really satisfying, actually. These guys, to the best of my knowledge, are not putting any sort of dye or extra coloring into it to give it that false bourbon color that you're used to seeing in a lot of scotches. They want that rich dark brown. This is a pure, very light, closer to golden brown. And it's really satisfying on the eyes, honestly. You give it your little turn, and we'll see if the camera picks it up. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. The legs on this thing are going really quick. This is not an old drink. Kilchoman has almost nothing that's old. if you're going by age statements, and a lot of people don't care about age statements. But Kilchoman doesn't have anything that's in the brand. Like, I think the oldest stuff they have, at least when I started drinking them, was, like in the 5 to 8 year range. They don't have a lot of older stuff. It's as simple as that. They're a fairly new company. I've actually had the pleasure of meeting a couple of the people in the management and ownership of the company. They're really classy people making a really great product, and I'm actually quite honored to be reviewing them here on the show. But again, brand new stuff for me. I've enjoyed everything I've had from these guys. I love the 100% Isla. The Machier Bay is so good. Let's see how the winter 2010 release stacks up. Got a feeling I'm going to be pretty happy. So I said that it was a little more dialed back and reserved with the smoke, and that was a lie. That was a dirty lie. This thing actually has a lot of smoke. It just doesn't blow you away with it right at the start. It saves it all for the flavor on your tongue. Normally, when it comes to a peated scotch, if you open the bottle, you're going to get a whiff of it right away, and you're like, oh, it's strong. You open this bottle, you really don't get a lot. You put your nose in the glass, don't really get a lot. There's not a ton there. There's a little bit of smoke. It's a very floral scent, actually, for any alcohol, really, especially for a peated scotch. But the flavor, boom, smoke. this is like drinking fire. But I love every minute of it. You know, this review show is not intended to tell you that you need to drink this or you don't need to drink that. It's intended to break down in simpler terms what someone who doesn't necessarily know what they're into might want to try. A lot of people get scared off by the peated stuff. They hear comparisons to Band-Aids and iodine and all kinds of nasty stuff like that. Those are very generalized terms, and they're not always accurate. In fact, more often than not, they're not accurate. You're not going to actually taste iodine. Honestly, if you've ever tasted real iodine before, come on, you probably haven't. Especially if you're watching videos on YouTube, you're probably not part of a generation that actually ever did that. This doesn't taste like iodine. This tastes kind of like someone was walking through the forest, picking up flowers, and decided to try and light them all on fire and put it in a bottle. And turns out that experiment works really well. That one is unbelievably clean. As the overused word goes, is smooth. It is one of the smoothest finishes I've ever had. It does not burn at all. This would be a fantastic if you wanted to do peatier stuff, because peated scotches tend to be a little heavier, a little thicker. If you wanted one to drink during the summer, actually, this is so damn light. I could drink this during the summer and not skip a beat. And I'm talking 95 degrees and 90% humidity. I would be just fine with drinking this. It's really darn good. No complaints whatsoever so far. If I could offer one critique, and it's a very small, very fair critique on this bottle, there's not as much to it as their normal releases. If you're looking for sweetness with Kilchoman, you'd want to do, say, a Machier Bay instead. If you're going for the classic Isla flavor, get the 100% Isla. It doesn't matter what vintage, they're all pretty great. But for the winter release, it feels like they kind of pulled everything back just a little bit. Dialed back the reins. They're very bold. Typically, Kilchoman scotches are very bold with their flavor. This one maybe pulls a punch. It's still very flavorful. It's still great if you like a scotch that is smoky all the way through. There is no part of this front of the tongue, back of the tongue, roof of the mouth, all smoke. And I love that personally. If you would rather not have smoke, stay the hell away from this. You will hate it. You will absolutely hate it. But it's just a very well-rounded and balanced scotch that has a smoky finish and a smoky start. You can't go wrong with this guy. I'd give it, on a scale of 10, I'd give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. And if you can still find a bottle for $80, $85 a pop, I'd say go ahead. If you're a fan of smoky stuff, if you're a fan of clean stuff and really light stuff, All three of those boxes are going to be checked for you, and you're really going to enjoy this one. I would say it's absolutely worth $80 to $85 at that point if you can find it for that price. Again, this is a 2010 winter release. I don't know if you can find this at all or not. It's all about what you can and can't find. I guess you can find anything on the internet. But if you don't have a benefactor who's hooking up with a bottle like this, I wish you the best of luck in finding some. Let's take a final sip for prosperity. And just all the way through, every single sip is pleasant. Again, super light, super smoky, but very drinkable. And it's got a great stricken balance of drinkability to smoke. That's very, very hard to find. And these guys, for being a fairly fresh face in the Islay game, have done a great job of striking that balance. Again, 8.5 out of 10 is me being a little overly critical of this bottle. It's actually extremely good. But that's a fair rating. And again, $80-$85 a pop. I'd say go ahead, buy a bottle of this, put it on your shelf, and break it out once in a while when it's summertime and you're ready to get something smoky, but you're not quite ready for something that's like eating a whole meal. I'd say it's a pretty fair review on this guy. I'd like to thank you all so much for tuning back in, of course. And I have no idea what we're doing for episode 5, but I'll come up with something. There's plenty of time. I'm headed off to a sales conference now, but I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Thank you so very much for tuning in again, and remember, the best way to drink whiskey is from a glass. See y'all next time.